Keep 100% of your claim. G4 Claims.
If you've been hurt in a road accident that wasn't your fault, you should really talk to G4 Claims first. Unlike road accident solicitors, we don't charge you for our services, which could see you better off. To keep 100% of your compensation, have a chat with Nicole and the team. You'll be glad you did. Search online for G4 Claims.
Keep 100% of your claim. G4 Claims.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Sellik the Thunder podcast. It's episode 134. I'm joined by only one of my fantastic co-hosts this evening. Two guys, one couch.
And you had to make it weird.
I'm joined by Kieran Auld on the right hand side. How are you doing?
Hey, aye, alright.
I made it weird.
I know. Man, the last time we had this set up, you were a good distance away from me. I could have my couch to myself, but I'm doing alright. Usual, walking away.
Getting on with it.
Aye, the misery of life.
But it's just a great way to start the show. Just nice and sombre tone.
Hey, actually, I'm looking forward to Sunday because, I mean, especially with them getting the big allocation, it's I've seen somebody raise the point on Twitter. I mean, it's horrible. You know something you should say, but it's one of the ones where these home cup ties can feel a bit routine and run of the mill. But this just gave it the sort of big game feeling.
No, I do agree, and I know we're going to get into talking about the game. We're barely even started here, and we're already just right into it, which is nice. But I was thinking about that this morning. I woke up and I seen one of the posts. It was a Hibs fan talking about how great it'll be with 7,000 there, and then there was Celtic fans getting at the whole, the glory hunters are jumping in after a wee bit of success, which to an extent I suppose could be true. But I think that one of the biggest problems that we have in Scottish football, and I'm not blaming clubs or the supports for this. We've got to remember we're a country whose population is tiny. We're the size of a snotter at the end of the day. But some of the problems, and especially when we've seen the Green Brigade out of the stadium, is that, you know, the place is dead, and sometimes that's due to the fact there's like 50 away supporters there. So it's nice, it's a good difference. And we've not seen numbers like that in a domestic game since, I mean, Christ, what, Rangers? 2017. I mean, it's pretty alien even to us.
2018, sorry.
Yeah, 2018. I mean, that's pretty alien even to us who have had this season ticket now for the last 10 years.
I mean, 7 years ago, you're looking, probably, was the last time you had a support at that size at Celtic Park. Obviously, a lot of the weird teams, they tend to bring, like, you had like Morton and that, bringing the Falco and that, and I was trying to play it off so I wasn't watching him struggling like he was in a fucking straitjacket, but...
No, do you know why I'm struggling as much, right? Because ordinarily I'd be able just to move this microphone and get it done without any issue.
A lot of effort was put into making that sit still. This
mic sitting still is a miracle, so I am very nervous to even brush it in case it just goes back to flopping. So I'm just going to pretend that never happened. Continue, Kieran.
I was going to say, continue flapping a bit. I'll try and keep my composure. But fucking lost my train of thought. No, it will be good because, I mean, we always say like the atmosphere can be a bit flat, but when you've got, it's that sort of thing we always spoke about even with the derby games. It's the constant back and forth. It might actually spur a bit of atmosphere into the ground on Saturday, and otherwise these cup games it can be really flat, you think, when you're playing these teams, but I do think it'll be good, and we've got a point to prove, especially after getting beat at Easter Road.
I mean, back and forth is so important in football, and I don't understand why so many people are against having as many away spectators in as you can feasibly have. Even the reaction, and I guess we might even come on to this later on in the video or maybe next week, but the reaction, I got some people in my comment section going, no, keep the Rangers fans out, and I just don't get it. And I get it, I hate them as much as the next guy, but there's no competition as to who hates them there. The games, whether it's Celtic Park, Easter Road, Ibrox, wherever you play, football is just better when you've got two sets of supporters in the stadium. And I think we'll see that first hand on Sunday. I mean, you think about, if Hibs go and take a 1-0 lead, that away end, and this isn't me, I don't want this to happen, but that away end will be bouncing. It makes the game more difficult, it makes the atmosphere more tense, it just makes it a better, I guess if you're looking at it as a neutral, a better spectacle, but it makes it a better experience, I think, for the match going fan as well. Like I much prefer looking forward to this than I would normally any other Scottish Cup tie when Livingston were bringing 100 people.
I was going to make the comparison to the quarter-final last year when we played Livingston.
No disrespect to Livingston at all.
I mean, but it's just, it really, as I said when we first started, I feel like it has got that big game feel, and I know it should be a given that it's a big game because Hibs in the quarter-final of the Scottish Cup, but like when I found out like the amount they could get at Celtic Park, I was like, they won't take it. But fair enough to them. They've wheeled their grannies out for their day out. So
what's your opinion of Sunshine on Leaf?
Oh, fuck.
That seems to be the amount of people I've seen in the last couple of weeks retweet. They're going, what an anthem. What an anthem.
It's a good song, I will give them that, but fuck me, man, get a bye for a minute.
It's just
want to make sure that's no sang at Celtic Park.
You know, I mean, imagine us piling it. We have the slowest moving stairway in the I'll die on that hill that the 412 stairway is the slowest moving, and there is no way that we'd escape in time before they started singing that if we're lost on Sunday. Which hopefully won't happen. So I guess we should probably talk about the game of football itself. Last time we played Hibs, it was pretty disastrous.
I mean, our form at Easter Road, you think in previous seasons it has recovered a bit, but
I thought we were getting joined by somebody there, but it's just a tripod gone rogue in the corner.
Is that what it was? I thought that was the door.
No, that's why I thought somebody was about to enter the room, but it's the tripods in the corner.
But I know that our form at Easter Road has been pretty shocking in the past 10 years.
And as you said, it looked as though we recovered it. Ange came in, sort of done well at Easter Road, a couple of dry games. Rodgers came back last year, there was the 0-0, but then we won quite convincingly. So we thought we'd put it to bed, and then bang, last week, granted we were robbed of a goal, a perfectly acceptable goal, but we didn't play well enough and we were punished for that. So the homework's there to be done.
I mean, we were, as you said, robbed of a goal, but there isn't any excuses for the start we had to that game, especially. We were the architects of rain downfall in that game. We never got going at all until after half time. The subs were made a bit of impact in the game, but I think it will help going into this game as well, having the full week to prepare for it. We'll have our strongest 11 out there on Sunday, and hopefully we can right the wrongs that happened at Easter Road. But you've got every confidence in this team. Like, they know what's at stake here. It's a treble that's at stake. So Hibs might be bringing in a big away support. They might be a very on-form team at the moment, but at the end of the day, we've got to get this one and get ourselves to Hampden.
Sunday is a huge game because we have been kind of lapping up this treble for the last couple of months now, and some more than others, including myself. I said that when Rangers beat us 3-0 at Ibrox, I went on the channel and I said quite confidently that I think Celtic will win the treble. But I think that Celtic fans have really put in the ground. We've heard the 10 in a row chants, we've heard everything, we've heard when they go up to lift the Scottish Cup, we've heard it all. So now is a time to really leave no doubt as to why we've been doing that. And Hibs is the sort of game that you could be left with egg in your face, but the team now need to reward the fans' confidence in them, I'd say.
I know, we've certainly piled the pressure on ourselves, haven't we? But I mean, we've always got that pressure at Celtic, especially now that Rangers are out the cup. It seems like to everybody else in the country that we need to win it, because they always like to remind us we've got 100 times the budget and whatnot. So I mean, it is a game we should be going out and winning, and the aim this season should be the treble, and I don't think the team have got any other ideas about that. They know exactly what needs to be done, but you've got the confidence, as I said, in this team. Players like Daizen Maeda, who's just absolutely flying. It's ridiculous. I feel like every time we're on here we're talking about Maeda, but it's justified. Like, since the turn of the year especially, he's been banging the goals in, and these numbers this season have been ridiculous. He's one of the players where maybe Kyogo a couple of seasons ago we were at every game. Like, I'm not really one for putting on a goal scorer, but see, every game now that I've got something on him, I've always got Maeda on anytime goal scorer. But I feel like it's been a while since you can have that confidence that you've got somebody that's going to bag as a striker. Like, because we had obviously Ida came into a really good bit of form at the end of last season, but at the start of last year when Rodgers first came in, you felt like goals were coming from other places. Kyogo wasn't hitting heights he had, but it's good to have, surprisingly, Daizen Maeda as the main man up front, because we sat here a few months ago, end of the transfer window, debating whether or no
he should be starting through the middle.
After Rodgers came out and said, like, no, I want a striker. But here we are. I mean, it's one thing that I wasn't certain on, but I'm happy I've been proved wrong. Football's
just one of these sports, isn't it? It's always been like that, especially following Celtic, where narratives can change so quickly. And I think a big part of it comes down to the dominance that we have. We should be able to win games no matter who's playing through the middle. We are significantly better than every team in this country, but the narrative can change so quick. And Maeda's been fantastic, so we can't take away anything from him. It's not about being significantly better, it's about doing your business, doing your work, doing your job in any form of life, whether you're a footballer or a T-boy. You've got to do your job, and Maeda's doing it at the minute. He's scoring goals, and he's made that conversation of, do you start him through the middle or Reader through the middle, quite a lopsided debate. And I think most people right now, if you were to ask them in the street, if you were to pull them up and give them a vox pop, they'd say, no, Maeda's got to play through the middle.
Aye. I mean, it's a given now, I think, when we're starting, like when you're looking at the lineup, because you've got a very good winger in Maeda as well, but when you've got him up front, you can then have Jota and Kuhn in the team, and having the three up front, and no disrespect to Adamita, he's obviously got a lot to give to the team, but I just think we feel more dangerous when we've got Maeda playing through the middle.
There's a big difference about this game against Hibs from the last one. A huge difference. Not only is it at Celtic Park, which of course makes a huge difference in the game, but this time round we're not off the back of a European gut wrench like Bayern Munich. This time we're not off the back of a flight from Germany, and this time we are just not off the back of anything in general. This is the first time in weeks that Celtic have went into a game without a midweek fixture, and from now until the end of the season, or until that split's announced, there'll be a wee midweek in there probably. Celtic are now free midweek. How big a difference do you think that'll make on the players, and do you think that'll give us an evident change in how we play against Hibs compared to the last time?
See, I do think the players, I mean, we spoke about how bad the fixture run was going to be in January onwards, but I feel like the players have handled it pretty well, to be fair. Obviously there's been the slip up at Easter Road, but in terms of the way we've been able to use our squad depth, we'll come on to players like Yang and that being used as well, but I feel like we've handled it pretty well. But I think they will benefit for getting the extra rest days, because whilst we have been playing well and getting the results, this is part of the season where it starts to take its toll.
Yep.
After playing so many games of football, even the fittest athletes, it's going to start catching up with them. This is usually when you see injuries occurring.
Prime example, Calum McGregor, arguably the fittest Celtic player I've ever seen, and I was shocked when I had to see him coming off 60 minutes into a game the other night. That's what happens. That's
but when you look at that, you've got the benefit of having the squad you've got the confidence in people to come on now. I mean, even just touching on Yang, like previously, when you laugh at, we need to take, say, Kuhn off. Like, your options in the first half of the season, you're like, God, we need to bring on Palmer. We need to bring on Yang. We need to bring on Forrest. Like, it just seems night and day at this point, and hopefully this is the point where we kick on and start to get some really good performances under our belt in the run into the season.
I think we would be ignorant not to talk about Yang to some extent, because the last few weeks he has been one of Celtic's standout players. If you maybe take Dyson Maeda out of the fold, you could maybe argue Celtic's most impressive attacking player. He's came off the bench and scored 5, assisted 6 or something like that in the last few weeks. He's up to about 11 or 12 goal contributions in the season. Some people formerly of this podcast saying that he maybe should be starting for Celtic over Nicholas Kuhn. Brewed up a hot topic on Twitter. Listen, I said this the other day on my channel, Kieran. I don't know what your take is on it, so I'll get you to chip in a moment. But I don't think there's any harm in saying that Yang is in line for a start. Part of football is you reward the players that are in form, and right now Yang is in form. But at the same time, I don't think we have to be so brutal on Nicholas Kuhn, as if Nicholas Kuhn has been this rotten time to bench type player.
I feel like it's weird, but because it does kind of feel like you're putting a slight on Nicholas Kuhn when you're saying Yang should be starting. But I think if you flip it and look at it as what you said, you're trying to reward the positive performances we've seen for Yang recently. So I think it would maybe make Kuhn feel a wee bit hard done by if he was to get benched for Yang. But then again, it's a team sport.
I think that Yang won't start until after the derby. I think that run of games between the derby and the end of the season is probably the ideal time to give him that reward of a couple of starts. But when you're playing Hibs in the quarter-final of the Cup, in a huge game, they've just beat us, when you're playing Rangers in a derby, when you're out for revenge and ready to take that next step to becoming champions, I don't think Brendan Rodgers is naive to go, right, Kuhn, who's arguably been a player of the season candidate, you're gone, and we're going to put in Yang. He's doing his job as an impact player, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I'm sure he's happy with that. He's getting as many minutes as he is.
I mean, if he can continue to come off the bench and have this level of numbers, I feel like he himself would be alright with it, even for the next couple of games, as you said. Do you think there's any possible reality in which he doesn't start the weekend but comes on and, say, scores 2 again? does that put him in line for a start? Jeez,
3-1 to Rangers, fucking hell, they'll be loving that. No, but sorry, what were you saying?
Like, do you think there's any eventuality in which he does really well at the weekend and then that gets him a start?
Against Rangers?
Mm-hmm.
Nah.
I don't see it.
I don't see it. Unless he came off the bench and scored a hat-trick, then you're like, right, maybe, it depends. But as I said, I think that Rodgers is a manager who knows what his best team is and knows that Kuhn is still a level ahead of Yang. He still is. Listen, we all love him at the minute and we should, and we're all giving him the credit he deserves, but we've seen this 1,000 times with players. You've got to sustain that excellence over longer than a few games. So Yang's still got that next step to take before he's on the level with Nicholas Kuhn, and for that reason I don't think he'll start the derby no matter what he does this weekend. No saying I don't want to be challenged for it, but
I mean, he's still a good player to come on off the bench in the next 2 games, so you've got the hope there.
You have. In terms of Hibs, I know we're going to get into our team prediction in a minute. In terms of Hibs, I mean, what they done last time was really suffocate Celtic in their forward areas. I remember in that game, and they were putting up the stats from the first, and it was similar to the first kind of 10 minutes of the Aberdeen game as well, first 10-20 minutes. Hibs really kept the ball up in their final third, and they tried being aggressive, and they really put Celtic in the back foot, and I think they found the things to do. And you look at the way that Martin Boyle was playing for his age, as fast as he still is, it's unbelievable. Guys like Campbell and all these players just really pushing down on the top of Celtic. It's time maybe for Celtic to show more of an aggressive side to them, in my opinion, because I think the last couple of games certain players have looked like they've been a wee bit Julian versus Livingston-esque.
I know, it's are we coming out and saying that it's trusting?
Well, I was going to be nice about it, but he's not the only one. I don't think. I think there's a few of them.
Is, but I do think the whole coming up against a physical striker, and it's not even like that boy for Hibs is an absolute behemoth there, man. Like, he just threw himself about, knew what to do, that sort of mould a player. But I mean, you've seen it up at Dens Park as well. Trusty didn't really like coming up against Simon Murray, players like that are going to get aggressive with you. I don't know. It is obviously a different challenge for him to handle, but it's something I've no doubt since that game he's been working on and training with the coaches. Hopefully we're a bit more prepared for it this time. And I don't like to see the defenders getting singled out for a bad game, but you'd like to think he'll take note of what happened. Be working hard to improve it. We've had
not just him, but the coaches, of course, as well.
It's an area that needs to be identified, because that's where the Hibs were getting a lot of their success through, that route. But it was their first goal as well. Just kind of got dragged out, left a massive gap. We can't be affording similar mistakes to that, because I feel like the main problem at Easter Road was them getting the early goal. Obviously they then got another goal, but it gives them something to hold on to. It's different if we got to half time, nothing each or one each. It's the fact they're going in with a 2-0 lead, and it seems pretty insurmountable. But you like to think at home we need to start strong and hopefully get a convincing win in retaliation. I
don't like having these conversations because I feel like they're so defeatist and weird and just so negative. But if Celtic were to lose this weekend, what do you think the narrative of our season becomes, and what do you think that means for Rodgers? Because we've been so normalised with trebles and success and victory. But if Hibs were to come to Celtic Park and pull off the shock, our season's kind of done at that point, isn't it?
It's just waiting for the league to be wrapped up.
The reaction would be painful, or do you think it would be warranted?
I'm sure everybody will be cool, calm and collected in a scenario like that. You know what else?
That's why I don't want to have the conversation, because it's like, it shouldn't. First of all, it should be a conversation we should be getting ourselves into. We're heavy favourites.
You need to look at every possibility, but I don't think it would go down too well. I mean, it does seem a bit entitled to say it's a disaster season to not get a treble, but for the circumstances we're in, I mean, as I said earlier, everybody in Scotland will be expecting Celtic to win the treble, no less just us. So the onus is on us to get through and through the semi-final, win it. Like, that's the pressure of being at Celtic. That's the pressure of being Celtic, that you're expected to win these things. And I've got no doubt the players will be up for it. I don't think they'll be allowed to be complacent in the slightest, and they've got no reason to be complacent against a Hibs team that just beat us 2 weeks ago.
So. I agree. I mean, it'll be all fun and games when Rodgers throws the game to make a point to the board.
Stop making fucking points, Russ.
I love how it's like great when I remember he subbed on one of the youngsters, and I can't remember what game it was, and it was like people were like
Dean Murray at Villa.
That was it, Dean Murray, but he's done that to make a point.
He made a fucking hell of a play, the boy Scott.
Oh God, I know. Right, let's do our starting 11 predictions then. Does the team pick itself?
I really think it does.
It's just a case of those three attacking players were the ones that they really changed the game at Easter Road. They were the ones that breathed life into the game when they put Maida through the middle and Jota came on the park. I mean, obviously you're counting VAR not having a stinker this time round, but that is the team, isn't it? Just picks itself. Jeffrey Schlupp starts.
For me, aye.
Midfield three of Hatate, McGregor and Engels.
Aye.
It's pretty. But it's going to be a weird one between now and the end of the season, because I genuinely think we'll get back to the point where there will be questions to go, maybe we'll give such and such a start. But I think for the next 2 or 3 weeks,
the next 2 games especially are. I mean, we're at the point now where we're trying to get ourselves to Hampden. We're trying to get the League One before the split as well. So I think if they manage to get that done, I think after the split you start to see a good bit of rotation, gain players minutes. But now I think it's, as we said, simple as the same team.
Aye. So just to clarify that team: Kasper Schmeichel, Alistair Johnson, Calum Carter-Vickers, Austin Trusty, Jeffrey Schlupp, Cal McGregor, Rio Hatate, Arnott Engels, Nicholas Kuhn, Dyson Maida, Jota.
Aye.
That's the 11. That's the team. I feel like that Hamilton kit man there.
Sounds intriguing game.
Right, anyway, we've got a few things to talk about. There was also a statement from Celtic tonight, which we'll come on to in a moment. I don't know if you've seen.
Is it about
the banners and stuff? Yep, there was a statement about 5 o'clock tonight, which I don't know if many people have seen yet, because I've not seen much discourse on social media, but Celtic have released a club update. But before the club update, Kieran, I did think to myself, we may as well have a wee bit of fun, even though we can't do a full-fledged quiz. So in relation to Celtic playing Hibs this weekend, I am going to give you a player, I'm going to give you their career path. It's Who's That Tick. So this is a guy who formerly played for Celtic and Hibs. Right. He joined Celtic from Hibernian.
Right.
I'm going to give you 2 here. He left Celtic initially on loan to Norwich City, and then when he returned to Celtic, he left on a permanent deal to Middlesbrough. The famous old Celtic to Middlesbrough move, which was very popular at the time.
Fuck. This is one I'm definitely going to kick myself on it.
Joined for Hibs, left for Middlesbrough, where a wee loan moved to Norwich in between. Played 26 times for Celtic.
26 times?
Aye.
I'm guessing this is round about the year I think it is.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes. The Gordon Strachan years.
Fuck. That should be easy.
To be fair, it should be, but I didn't realise he went to Middlesbrough. I didn't know he was one of the ones that went
there. I know,
there.
because I'm not even thinking about the Norwich thing. I'm thinking what players left.
Because right away you're like, well, it can't be McManus, it can't be McDonald.
Who did we sign?
I'll give you one last clue, which he went. There's a famous photo that exists of this guy that is in an airport that involves another Celtic player. What?
No, is that Chris Calum?
Chris Calum, that's the correct answer. Congratulations. Still, really need the explanation of that photo.
Has anybody ever asked him?
I don't know. I don't think it's something I'd like to ask. I'd get kicked out the club. I'd get kicked at the press conference. Tell the day. Excuse me, Dan. What was going on here? Did you just know there was paparazzi in the building? It's the only thing I can logically think of what happened there. Like,
let's get something to take a photo.
Strange. Well, not strange at all.
Just
of course,
out of character.
Let live and all that, you know. But Chris Calum was the correct answer. He joined Celtic from Hibs in 2007, and then left in 2010 for Middlesbrough, New Zealand international, of course. Also played for Man City, Wrexham, Port Vale, Shenzhen Ruby, and Chongqing. But nonetheless, Celtic have released a statement, which I was not expecting to see as we sat down to record, in relation to the banners in recent weeks. So Celtic have said, Celtic Football Club shares the concerns communicated by our own supporters, not by supporters elsewhere, by our own supporters, regarding the use of banners at recent matches. Celtic is an inclusive football club open to all with no political agenda, as it is clear from the club's social charter and social mission statement, and no group of supporters or any other organisation speaks on behalf of Celtic. Everyone associated with Celtic recognises the important part that the supporters play in inspiring the team and contributing to the Celtic spirit. Fan displays should support the team or otherwise celebrate Celtic and be consistent with the terms of the Social Celtic Charter and the Social Mission Statement. Yada yada yada, essentially saying these banners, nothing to do with the club. We disown any of the sort of sentiment that they bring, and that we should pack it in and enjoy the rest of the season without bringing in an ideological or political approach. Now, I think we all know the banner that spurred this. Listen, it's
at the point now where like you can get annoyed at the club for it, but obviously they're just doing their own legal thing to cover their backs. Like, even if there's people within the club that agree with the sentiment of the banners, which you would like to think there is, they're not going to come and outwardly admit that, because that leaves themselves liable. We as a fan base can do it all we want. We're not the ones getting hanged for it. But I mean, they're obviously going to come out and ask for people to stop them. That I don't think they should stop. Personally, I
don't think that. I think that once again, I'm gonna, and I know there's plenty of people that watch this channel who will pull me up every time I say it and saying that it's pathetic, we should keep it out of football. And I will come back to the same point that I will always use. If you sit at Celtic Park and you sing the words "Let the people sing their stories and their songs," but then try and side with the fact that they shouldn't be allowed to sing their stories and their songs, it is very hypocritical. And that's the point I'll always die on the hill of, whether you agree or not.
As I said, obviously the club has to take a certain political, not even anti-political, but like a sort of neutral stance, because they're a business and whatever, they need to keep themselves out of that sort of stuff. But obviously the whole ethos of the club to come out and say things like this, it does feel like it's gone against that and the very nature of what it means to be Celtic. But it's no something I'm completely shocked at that they've came out and said.
They really were pushed into this one, I feel like, after the last display. And listen, just to clarify for anybody who's watching or getting any other points mixed up or complicated here, I'm not necessarily saying that any of these banners means that you need to be be a Republican, pro-IRA or against IRA, or let's go to the week before, which I think is the more important one, with the Show Israel the Red Card banner. I think that was a very important message displayed by the fans, and I'm proud of the fans for doing it. But none of these banners means that you need to take a certain political approach, but the club obviously have the duty to drill through that this does not represent Celtic for many different legal reasons. And some people might say it's the club shiting it or whatever, but you can understand why
the club's obviously not going to come out and put up a statement,
especially after the backlash of the last one, because we know that it's a very touchy subject. Whether you do your research into these things or not, or you aren't very educated on it, on the surface you're always going to get the BBC going that it's this, or you're going to have people on TalkSport saying that it's this. So I can see why the club are coming out and back
it was obvious they were going to have to, but I mean, I don't think it's going to stop that sort of thing.
It makes the voices louder, if anything, doesn't it? It makes the voices louder. Not too much. It's been a quiet few days, isn't it? It's weird without the midweeks.
You must be struggling on this channel.
Trust me. It's that time. You put the screenshot of the chat the other day.
Ranking every Celtic player's player of the year chances.
I don't think it was a terrible idea, but
who was bottom of the pile?
Scott Bain.
I'm fair enough.
The only senior player to not make an appearance this season. I think Bain, Navrowski and Sinsalo were the bottom three, which would make a lot of sense. The bottom one for anybody who's played over 10 games was Anthony Ralston. So, do you think about it though? This year, nobody's been like really bad. The ones that were got like Palma, he's away and blah blah. But nobody in this team has been. Even Ralston has played his part this year, and he's been fit. He's been all right. So nobody's been.
I feel like the only player that there's obviously been large discourse about, even on the podcast, has been Greg Taylor, and that's not even like he's had just a couple of European games that he's let us down a wee bit in. But
it.
I mean, he's probably the only man I think springs to mind saying like that's the only, I wouldn't even go as far to say a terrible season or anything, but it's just not been himself.
Aye. I think you can tell he's off for the next step. Is there any, but before we go to like the Q&A or anything like that, is there anything else that's happened that desperately needs? Is there anything in your mind that desperately needs addressed that's happened over the last few days or that's coming up?
I genuinely don't know. to be honest.
It's
Because
just so
I
quiet.
feel like there's, even in the group chat, I feel there's not been any real talking points when it comes to...
It's like the same happens every year, I suppose, when we get to this stage of the season with the podcast. It's not exactly new, but I mean, Mourinho was out talking about Celtic, came back and done well from considering he's getting pumped at off time. Trying to think what else has happened. The Hampden ban, there's another supporter hot topic.
500.
500, it could be 800 if we get the Flares back out between now and the next League Cup game.
It's going to be, I know.
A lot of bother, aren't we? Do you want to read out the questions this week? You want to let people get a break from my voice. It's my birthday weekend, so happy birthday to me in the chat.
It's the saddest thing I've ever heard.
I was trying to fill the void while you got the questions.
Well, you hope I said that. Come on, guys, that is wish Ryan happy birthday. I turned when you got the wee party.
It's not even my birthday. I say it's my birthday weekend. It's not really. My birthday's Tuesday. It's just because we're going out this weekend for it, aren't we? So.
Right, let me get these questions up. You talk about your birthday some more.
I don't have anything. I'm not a big birthday guy. Do you care about birthdays?
Nah, the first time I ever really done anything for my birthday was when me and Gillian went to
it just
Dublin
for us,
year.
obviously, just kind of because there's a boy in our group chat that has the same birthday as me, so it kind of like a 2 in the 1 sort of thing. But like, it's just another day, me.
Aye.
I'm a boring old
I
sod.
don't even know if I've ever, like, me and Regan are 2 days apart, so there's maybe been like a joint night like, when we were like
25,
18.
man. 25. That's horrible.
I've still got
I live it
like
up.
4 and a bit months left clinging on to that
Enjoying it before the sobering reality hits you.
before my frontal lobe fully develops.
Anyway, Kieran's going to host the Q&A. So.
Right, I'll just go in the order in which I see them. So we've got Ad the Lad here. He's there and he's always there.
Yes.
No questions this week. Just thinking of Sabrina Carpenter at the moment. What's your favourite song of hers? Which received 8 likes.
8 likes?
So a lot of people
Fucking
want
hell.
to know the answer to this.
Right, well, I'm sorry to disappoint these 8 people, but I think she's absolutely rotten. I hate her music. I think her music's pish.
I mean, I don't think I've ever heard anything that hasn't been like radio play. Like I've never went out my way.
To be honest.
But like, I've never went out my way to listen to something else on that album or anything. But I don't hate the music. It is just, as I said, radio.
Listen, the way that I go about it is everybody's got their art. Like I know that the girls love her because she's one of the biggest artists in the world at the minute, and she's got there for a reason because she's quite clearly talented. Just no for me. I mean, I can see why he's thinking about her quite clearly, but nah, no for me. And that song Espresso is a sore fucking head.
There's actually a cover Espresso, and it's like Espresso but indie, and it's by a band called like Bad Neighbours, Good Day, something like that. They're Australian, but it's actually a tune, man. I can't sing it in my head without singing that
of indie
version.
TikTok bands popping up at the minute.
Oh, I know.
It's just the thing, innit? It's the thing.
That's how they're getting their start. Right, thanks for the somewhat question, Adam.
Sorry to disappoint you.
Decky asks, Brendan working wonders with fringe players again just makes me wonder what he could have done with Colin, Big Z, Kazim Richards in 2016. He could have saved him.
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, there was a couple of players in that team that I would have liked to see. There's a couple of players who's right. Let's go. Here's a question to expand on that. Right, if you were to isolate the Ronnie Dyla era and players from that era that never really got a chance under Rodgers, who would you like to have seen under Rodgers, or maybe even just the late Neil Lennon era?
I mean, he obviously left to go to Fulham, but like Stefan Johansson, I feel like that's the obvious one because he was shit hot for us. Maybe not that last season as much, but like, was it Player of the Year before?
Aye, brilliant.
But like, I feel like there was a player in there that Rodgers could have really hanged into, but we end up getting a very good Stuart Armstrong instead.
He was still, Denier was still there under Dyla in the first season, or was he away? Was it Dyla that was in charge in the first derby since they went down?
Would it be now?
So Denier would have been there, because Denier played in that game.
It wasn't there the 15, 16 season.
I think Denier's a shout. I mean, I know he's a centre half, it's not anything flashy, but I think he could have really maybe took him to another level as well.
Because Johansson played for us under Rodgers.
He did,
right,
right.
in a qualifier or just in friendlies.
Just a photo him in that kit.
Because I'm thinking, but I'm trying to think of anybody else that would stand out to me, but
Any fullbacks that I can necessarily. I mean, the fullbacks kind of remained the same, didn't they?
could they have gave Carlton Cole a career revival?
Who knows? Maybe. You know, Nadir Chifchi. He was there as
He
well.
was there,
He played
aye.
against Lincoln Redhams, didn't he? Aye.
I never got the help for Rodgers. Thanks for the question, Decky. We've got Aidan next saying, do you think we still will/should sign a new striker in the summer, or is Dyson now a striker and it's a winger that we're looking for?
I 100% think we're still going to get a striker. Aye. Or at least be looking for one anyway.
I mean, we've been sat here waxing lyrical about how good Dyson's been through the middle, and I don't think you can deny that, but I don't know about long term if that's the vision Rodgers has got, especially coming out and saying he wanted a striker in January. I think he's more than happy to play him there than now because he's having to play with what he's got, and it's gone exceptionally well, but you don't know if that's going to keep up forever. Or I mean, it is also still good to know now that even if we were to sign a striker, Maida goes back to being a winger, you know, that you're comfortable to slot him in there. I mean, we've done it prior to
it was
Kyogo
always
leaving,
such a
but
hypothetical, wasn't it? Like, could Maida do it? Could he be reliable there? And he's answered the question quite firmly that it's a yes. I'm still pretty sure we're going to have one more Viscarden round of rumours and then maybe move on from there. We'll see what happens if he signs.
I've got one more in me.
So's the channel, 20,000 views guaranteed.
But I know, I think we will be getting another striker. We've got CFC Jamesy here. Thoughts on Engels being the best Belgian in Europe?
I mean, you tell me one better.
Try to think of Belgian players.
De Bruyne is washed. He is, that's not even a joke. He is literally, he's done. He's finished. Who else is there? Lukaku.
Still doing alright now.
I suppose he's alright.
See, before we answer the question properly, do you remember that photo of Kevin De Bruyne a couple of years ago at McDonald's in Hamilton?
Aye!
Why was he in Hamilton?
Maybe it was that boy that was a lookalike that we met in Madrid.
Very well could have been.
I remember, but no, when that happened, right, I remember there was an explanation for it.
Mm-hmm. But I'm trying to remember what it was.
Was it no like... was somebody... I think there might have been somebody that he was mates with, or a teammate playing up here in a game. But I can't. There was a reason for it. There was somebody was like, it's because of this, and I was like, that checks out.
If somebody can remember it and tell us in the comments, please do, because that's going to eat away at me.
I do remember it now that you've said it though. I do remember it. What a random niche thought to bring up.
I know, it's just because we were talking about Belgians and De Bruyne hanging back to us. But I think he was the best Belgian in Europe. I think he could be. You've had a week of wild statements.
Right, listen, let's address this, actually.
Did you mean the best manager in
I meant what I said.
I
said what I fucking said, right? I said it, and I'll die on it. No, see, this is the thing, right? We live in a world where you clip people because it's the cool thing to do and it gets you a few hundred likes on social media. Well done, Nathan. Well done. Do you think I genuinely believe Rodgers is a better manager than Pep Guardiola? Do you genuinely think I'd believe that? Of course I don't.
Yeah,
I don't think.
You can talk to the man himself anyway.
I know he's asked a question, so we'll come at it in a minute. But what I will say is, right, that whole thing that I said about Rodgers and the continuing conversation I had about it on Twitter, the wee debate that I had with Nathan, he called it an argument. I call it a debate. I debate people. I don't argue with people, Kieran, right?
Captain of the debate team.
But what I will say is I will stand on the hill of Rodgers being one of the best in this country and on the continent. I think he's somebody who would fill in any of these jobs brilliantly, and I hate seeing people going, Areola's a better coach than Rodgers. I'm like, how is he a better coach than Rodgers? What, because he's doing well at Bournemouth and we've all seen it for he's been there a year and a bit, still not won a trophy. Rodgers went down south, won an FA Cup, a Community Shield, took Leicester to a European semi-final, finished in 5th place 2-3 years in the trot. Like, he's outperformed Areola at Bournemouth. And I'm not saying that doesn't mean I'm saying that Areola's a bad coach. Somebody goes, he's getting linked with the Madrid job. Good for him. Good
for Areola.
Good for Areola. Oh, wow. I just think it's incredibly there's just a thing with Rodgers where I think that there's still an element of the Celtic support who are still not willing to give him that credit he does deserve. Somebody made a great point, Kieran, and I'm sorry to yap, but he took that Liverpool job in his 30s and he was still so young and pretty inexperienced at the time. I think he was like 38, 39 when he took that job. And he went in and he was this close to winning the league. This close. So people going, Arteta's a better manager. Sorry, Brendan Rodgers came just as close to winning a Premier League title as Mikel Arteta has, with less resources than fucking Mikel Arteta. So... sorry,
that's a very fair point.
But sue me. People going, well, he had a good team, he had Sturridge and such. Rodgers made them good players. Because see the minute Rodgers fucked off, what happened to Daniel Sturridge's career?
Broke his leg, probably.
Probably, aye. And what happened to every other player in that team's career? He had Gerrard when his legs were finished. Jordan Henderson. It was actually, and I'm not having people rewrite Jordan Henderson, because back then Jordan Henderson looked as though he couldn't kick a fucking football. In fact, I'm pretty sure it was Alec Ferguson that wrote in his autobiography that he was a donkey-legged football player. So, aye. Boom. Mic drop. Go to your back, Rodgers. What's he saying anyway?
I'll skip to his question. I'll go back.
It's always a healthy.
Hi Ryan, what has Rodgers got left to do to surpass Sir Alex Ferguson's legacy? Yours truly, your favourite tweeter.
What I'll say to that is, did Alec Ferguson win a treble with Aberdeen? Did he win a treble? Did he win it? You're laughing at? Did he?
No.
No, exactly. So surpassed. Rodgers here, Fergie here.
Oh God, that's getting clipped. Man.
That's getting clipped.
McSpaff here has asked a question, but I think answered my answer in the same go. The best away ground pie, surely a Motherwell chicken chasney pie. And I don't know if I can top that. I do love a doner pie for Celtic Park. It's the fucking business, but
it's the race between the chasney pie and the Kelly pie. It's between the two. I do love a Kelly pie. It's been too long, but
Kelly pies at the game are phenomenal. But see, getting them like at the supermarkets.
I've never had one outside.
Never near the same.
Really?
Never
had one outside Rugby Park. I feel like it's something I can only have at Rugby Park. So have you ever had one for like a baker's in Kilmarnock?
No, I don't frequent Kilmarnock bakers.
At Brownings or whatever they call, that's maybe the place to go.
See, I don't know, it's the ones you get out the shops, but thingy. And speaking of chasney pies, did you see that thing on Twitter then? It's that Pie Sports. In Aldi this week they've got like a range of 6 different pies, and it's like chicken chasney, salt and chili chicken curry pie, kebab pie, meatball marinara, a steak pie, a steak and black pudding pie, and I'm like, I might bankrupt myself. Aye. Right, here's a photo. I screenshotted it earlier. Right.
Pull that up.
Steak and sausage pie.
Oh, yeah, by the way,
that one at the bottom was the thingy with peppercorn sauce and that.
I think I'll be getting myself
but
one.
I feel like a wee trip to Aldi might be needed.
It might be.
We've got Paul here asking, when Rodgers decides to move on again, who would you both like to replace him, and can you see Scott Brown becoming Celtic manager in the next 5 years?
Oh, five's a stretch.
I think 5's a wee bit neat. I really do think he will be manager at some point, whether that be a permanent basis or an interim.
He has to keep doing what he's doing.
I feel like it's alright saying Scott Brown. I mean, I talk him up highly, but he has to keep up for a longer period. And
do you not think, here's a point, right? Do you not think it's very weird now being that age
where Scott Brown,
where the players that we knew, because we grew up with managers being managers, they weren't players. We didn't know Ferguson as a player or Mourinho or Guardiola. Well, Mourinho wasn't a player anyway,
we never knew him as a translator.
But we never really knew all these coaches as players. But now we're witnessing, we're seeing Frank Lampard, Steven Gerrard, Vincent Kompany, all these guys up and down the country, across the continent, becoming. Nuri Sahin was Dortmund manager, you know what I mean? We are seeing players becoming managers, and obviously that's quite a new sensation for us.
No, we're getting old.
But on that note, I still, maybe it's blind faith, I don't know. I think Rodgers will be here for at least another 2 years.
I'd like to think so.
I think he'll be here for at least another 2, which means in the next 5 years, I think it's just too hard to predict.
I know.
Because we don't know who's going to be available. We don't know where our kind of level is in terms of, like, do we go for a Rodgers-esque, or do we go with Ange, a risk? I don't know.
If there was any name to know, like...
Any at all.
Like, somewhat realistic.
Jesus. It's tough, isn't it? It's really, really tough.
Would you still see somebody like Graham Potter?
Potter was like one of the first ones that came in my head, but he's at West Ham now, he's back in the Prem, I just don't see it. West Ham are a big club.
But if he was to get the chop there, if Eddie Howe gets the chop for Newcastle, are they the sort of managers you would expect?
The thing is, see if Potter got the chop for West Ham, do you think his stock dips again?
Aye, big time. So
I don't know if he'd be wanted by many. Wayne Rooney.
Just for a laugh.
I genuinely think it's just such a difficult question, Kieran. No, actually, sorry, no, hold on. Bang, you've unlocked. I know who the answer is. I know my answer. I've said this a million times. I think I've said it in the podcast. The next Celtic manager should be John Kennedy, and I will die in that hill. I have not seen a man be so loyal to this club in my life. And what he's been through, he's been assistant manager to Rodgers, he's been assistant manager to Lenny, he's been assistant manager to Ange, he's been assistant manager to Rodgers again. He's been sitting there, he's been through it all. And I know that some people might go, oh, it's underwhelming, or is he proven as a manager? I just think that guy, by the time that Rodgers leaves, is more than deserving of a crack at it. I feel like he's really deserving it. He's given so much he's given his life to Celtic, and I just feel like something means that he deserves at least a shot.
I do appreciate that sentiment, but do you not think it's the sort of thing that when the time comes, we're going for the
sentiment option,
the cheap option, jumps for the boys. Like, it is double-edged sword with that. But I mean, as you put that point, but because it has sat there for so long, there's been points where we thought, oh, does he get the job? Nah, it's too soon. When will be the moment for him to eventually get it? But
once again, it's circumstantial. Depends who's available. There might be nobody out there and you go, right, Kennedy it is. But if there's people out there that are clearly more qualified than John Kennedy, then you've got to give him the job, haven't you?
The Greg and Dyson enthusiast. That's a really interesting question, but I don't know if I'll be able to come up with an answer to it. Right. What's your favourite niche moment in Celtic history? For example, his favourite two are when Bayo scored a brace but they both went down his own goals and Izagiri was on a hat-trick, so we gave him a pen and he fucking skied it. Some laugh.
That is a cracking...
I actually seen this earlier and I was racking my brain to think of something.
Do you know what I seen the other day? And this might not be niche, but do you know what I have really nice memories of? The day that Celtic revealed the 2017-18 kit down at the Celtic Way, and we Bertie Auld and that was on stage. It was a beautiful day, it was nice and sunny, it was obviously a gorgeous kit. It was just a fun wee day. I maybe that doesn't quite meet the niche criteria.
I mean, we had a higher maths exam the next day. I was just doing it to get a revising. Going down to see a tap that we knew. We'd seen the leaks already on Facebook and that. But niche. Try to think actually what playing wise as well, like something in a game, something random, but
a lot of my niche favourite Celtic memories may relate to maybe like things that we'd done after the game and shit like that, like I had a cracking day following whatever game and I remember this in Murphy's and we went here and such. Like, do you know what is one of my favourite niche memories? Going to Kieran McCluskey's back garden after we went round after one, it was at Trophy Day and it was his birthday, or was it Scottish Cup final? It was his 18th.
He's 18th.
Aye. After Motherwell, was it Cup final?
Aye, Cup final.
What was it? Mate, what a day. Loved it, and that's up here. Nobody else apart from us can say we went to Kieran McCluskey's back garden.
Talk about fucking niche.
But like shit like that, that's my niche memories, you know? In
terms of like actually the game, I remember the first away game I went to, my dad and my brother Pataudry, and I remember Danny Fox. I remember he went to take a throw in or something, he completely like boss up to his son the fell away and fucking shooting Seabo at him. I'm like, boy's first game at Celtic.
Your first away game the giver was Kilmarnock on a freezing Friday night, wasn't it?
The guy in front kept farting like fuck, man. Sorry. Oh, he's a fucking monkey bastard.
We'll need to go away and think about that question.
That's a good one. Let's see. Daniel Stewart saying, we've shown this year we can compete in Europe, especially Champions League, whilst being able to win League Cup. League basically won already, and Scottish Cup now favourites after Rangers' exit. So what's the next step for this side, and where do you see us strengthening? So like basically, what is success next season if we were to win the treble this year? I think it's as simple as progression in Europe, but what does that look like?
Progression in Europe is obviously once again reaching the knockout stages and then counting your lucky stars on the draw you get.
For a good draw.
Because look, listen, we've got to draw the line somewhere in the sense that it's all well and good going, we need to get to the last 16. If we draw Real Madrid in the fucking playoff round, you know, it's just you've got to be realistic about it. You just want to keep getting better and better and getting closer to these teams, and I think that's ultimately what I would say is the mark of improvement.
We've got a food question, but I'm going to save that for last. Ronan Bell here is asking, what's your opinion on Liverpool's rule for season ticket holders, and do you think Celtic should follow? I don't know if you've seen this earlier, but it's basically like you need to make sure your seats used at least 15 games a season because to try and deter like people just no going to it, because there's like 500 empty seats a game at Anfield despite thousands wanting them. It will basically be about an exchange system, and I feel like we've been banging the drum that that's something that should be introduced at Celtic, and I don't see why it wouldn't. And it was like, I remember when it was first brought up on Twitter, people were like, it's my seat, if I don't want to go, I'm like, you can get fucking money back for it.
I know. There is too many people in the Celtic support should I label them the Facebook Brigade? I don't know. That like to take that sense of entitlement. I've got a season ticket, I've had it for this many years, it's my seat, if I'm no gone, I'm no gone. It's the kind of, I call it the Facebook Brigade because it feels like a very Facebook Celtic group comment, if you get me. That's no offence to anybody who uses Facebook at home, by the way. There's just, you know the type. And I just don't understand it. I do not get why you have that mentality, especially if you're gaining something from it and you're giving somebody the chance to go to the game.
I mean, like, if
it's not you, and hold on, sorry to cut you off. It's no your seat. You don't fucking own the seat. Celtic own the seat. It's not yours. You didn't fucking put it there. You didn't pay for it. You didn't put the fucking stadium's concrete down and go, that's mine. It's not your seat. Somebody had it before you and they'll probably have it after you. So, geez, peace. So,
glad you got that off your chest, Ryan.
Watch this. There'll be a clip of me going, that's my seat.
They're not in their seats. What the fuck was I going to say? I know, but it's like, I understand, like, you might not need it if you just say, I'll get to my pal for a game, but you know for a fact there's plenty of games that we've offered them out to some of your pals and like, no, I don't want a ticket for such and such at home on a Wednesday night. I'm like, well, if you had the option instead of just firing it up on Twitter, just put it on an official resale thing, like even for Bayern Munich, like we bought tickets in the home end for resale before we got to our away end plans, and then we were able to sell them again before the game.
So, 100% reselling a problem should be there. So with Liverpool, is it a case of if you don't go a certain amount, if it's not filled a certain amount of games, you get it taken off you?
Encouraged to put it up. Tickets are sold. Blah, blah, blah. I don't know if there's any, like, I think it might be like a warning sort of system, but reading this, I've not seen like cancellation or that.
Yeah, I'm not against the whole cancellation thing. We don't know people's circumstances and why they don't able to go to a game, and people are busy and people have lives, and I get that. Just the problem I have is the people that are just like, no, it's my seat. My seat, I'm not getting anybody else.
I'm convinced the guy that's got the season ticket beside me only comes to the Rangers games in the Champions League. I've not seen him at any other one.
Unless he sits with other folk, like he comes to the game and moves and sits somewhere.
But like I've encountered that quite a lot in the years that I've been going to the games, that you don't actually think that that's what people do, but they fucking must. I understand people might have work commitments and that, but that's a hell of a lot of money to be paying for.
Fucking £600 a year
for fucking 6 games a season.
I know you're paying £100 a game at that point. Nuts.
Mental.
Anyway.
But we've got one more Sellik question, then we're on to the food one. Do you think clubs will, this is Lennon by the way, do you think clubs will try to snatch Dyson off us in the summer? If so, what's his price tag? And would you be willing to let him leave when the money's right? I'm going to say I'm definitely no okay with him leaving, but how much do you realistically think Celtic would hold it for somebody like?
It's got to be at least £30 million. It's got to be. And I know that people will go, oh, I can't do that. He's
but in the sense that we shouldn't be letting him
go.
No,
exactly.
You should slap a price tag on him.
Yeah. Once again, I'm not saying that Maida's a £30 million player or anything, but he's worth that to us. And I guess Matt O'Reilly's the first ever £30 million player at Celtic, and it was probably because, number one, he was very talented, but because he was young as well, with a lot of scope. Maida's not quite as young, he's 27, he's getting into he's in the prime years. But I still think that letting him go, he is going to be so tough. We've never seen a player like him, and we probably never will again. So for that alone, he should be worth £30 million.
Here's a suggestion, right? See, with the next contract we timed into, we dare Barcelona, we slap a absolutely fucking ridiculous release clause on him, like £700 million.
I mean, imagine trying to get that across to a player in Scotland. Like, by the way, we're putting a £700 million. They'll be like, fuck you off.
Right, thanks for the question, Lennon, but we're on to the final here. Jack Daly poses the question, which one scran you were heavy excited for before trying, then after consumption were bitterly disappointed?
I've got my answer straight away.
I feel like there's a few for me, but
let me just clarify that I mean the UK version, because I didn't get the honour of trying it in America. I didn't get the chance of trying it in America. Popeyes. Shit.
See, I didn't hate it as much as you did, but see, because I loved it in America, I know the difference between them. Like the one in America is leaps and bounds better than the UK version, but I still enjoyed my spicy chicken sandwich or whatever.
The sandwich was nice. The sandwich was fine. I could do that, but the wings were bitterly disappointing. I had a couple of tenders, bitterly disappointing. The fries, bitterly disappointing. I just and maybe that's my own fault for getting pure like, oh my god, Popeyes is here, and I was pure excited to try it, and I was just let down. So I think that's my answer.
I feel like there's definitely ones there, but I'm just trying to think of like specific like fast food chains or anything like that.
Because I'm very easily pleased when it comes to food. I'll eat anything. You put something in front of me, I'll eat it, and I'll probably enjoy it. It's very rare I don't enjoy food. So that's the only one I can remember off the top of my head that was proper sitting there disappointed.
Try to think back to even like a restaurant we've went to, but I feel like I always enjoy when you go out for a meal. There's nothing I've never really thought that's fucking disgusting. But I mean, after Tap Made, I remember when we were in Zante and we seen there was a Chinese restaurant, and I was like, I think Chinese restaurants abroad are pretty ranked normally, but I'm pretty sure this had good reviews on Google Maps and that. I'm like, pure rough. It was a fucking rough night the night before. You know what I was talking about. But it got to the point, there's a Chinese, we'll go for that. And there was a rabbit farm attached to it. I was like, do I need to pick a bunny to get killed? I'm like, oh no.
I generally felt like that. It's like Mr. Burns. I'll
have that cow.
That
was fucking disgusting.
See this? I mean, I don't get
it. It was honestly rancid.
Mine was too bad, I swear.
We made Astro Pie €15. We get chips, rice and curry sauce, man. But it was it was rancid. I feel like that was me because I was rough as well, but I think it's a
You're not a huge fan of Wallacewell Farm?
That's pish. That's a good answer. Like the carvery is something I've never really indulged in. I've not indulged in carvery much in my life, but I was kind of excited at the prospect of it, but the Yorkshire puddings are an absolute fucking crime in that place. I understand they're under that heat lamp, but you think they've been under the heat lamp for
Heat lamps
days.
are a no-go, and see when you see a heat lamp, that's no.
Roast totties and all, and they crunch to them, just pure sogged up skin.
Aye.
The meats were nice,
I think of a carvery in the same vein that I think of a buffet.
Aye.
Nothing is good if it's been sitting under a fucking heat lamp.
I feel like the meat you can get away with it as long as it's still tender enough and that, but everything, the whole thing of a carvery, you're meant to have good veg and your roast totties and things that really make it. You're not just having a plate of meat, but when everything else it's meant to be complementing the meat is stale and just shite in general. Like it really did dampen my experience there. But the cake counter for Wallacewell Farm is fucking unbelievable.
Not as good as it used to be though.
See,
I don't know if you've been in recent years, but it's downhill now.
Like I remember, on that Too Good To Go, you can actually get a cake magic pack.
It's not as good now. They have about 2 cakes every time you go in. They're not that great. It's not the way it used to be. Kieran. Went right down market is where it's went. But I think is that it then?
I think so.
I think that takes. I don't know how long. It's only 20 to 8. It feels really early. Well, thank you for listening to episode 134 of the podcast. We're of course going to be sitting to do a wee extra 20-30 minutes or so on the Thunder Club, so if you're a Thunder Club member, we'll see you there soon. If you're not, you can join using the top link in the description. Before we do finish, I want to say a massive thank you to the Spotify listeners, because in recent weeks I've noticed quite an increase in Spotify listeners and an increase in people rating the show. I've seen a few 5 stars getting dropped, so if you haven't done that already, please make sure to go over and do that, because we know there's a lot of Celtic podcasts out there, but we want to stand out as number 1. So if you can go and drop a wee 5-star review, that would be fantastic. Any closing words, Kieran?
I've just looked at the way I've put the green light behind us. It looks like I've got some form of glow behind me. I look like Mr. Burns. I hope I don't get memed for that, man.
Well, thank you, Kieran. Anyway, we'll be back hopefully next week with more of us. But we'll see how it goes. Until then, take care of yourselves, and we'll see you all next time.